Hey, what's up guys? Happy 2018. This is the first video of 2018 for me, so we're gonna kick things off with a bang and focus on that arm shape, looking at the bicep, the tricep, and the forearm. So we're gonna cover about 5 or 6 different exercises, have a look at a circuit, and kind of break this down so that you can do it whether you're a beginner or more of an advanced lifter or even a competitor. Before we get started, shout out to squarespace.com for sponsoring this video. I'll tell you a little bit more about them later, including a sneak peek at my brand new relaunch of my website. So stay tuned for the end of the video. Anyway, now let's get started on the first of our 3 main exercises: biceps, triceps, and forearms. Let's go. So when it comes to training the biceps, your elbows are really in one of 2 positions, at the side of the body or at the front. And you want to include both of these variants within your workout so that you're working the long head and the short head of the bicep. The first exercise that we're going to do now is focusing on the short head. And this is a classic understated exercise, seated concentration curl. Let's have a look at how you do it. Concentration curl is a fantastic exercise for peaking the bicep. You don't need a whole lot of weight, but you do need to execute this exercise properly. And for that, we need to start with the positioning of the elbow. We're not doing it inside the leg like this and lifting outwards. The elbow is rotated round, so the tricep is really at the side of the body. Wrist, elbow, shoulder, all in alignment. Therefore, as we lift, that bicep is lifting the maximum amount of weight spread across the full width. You can see here as I curl up, wrist and shoulder almost come to me, and you get that nice peak in the bicep there. So make sure you get a full length, keeping tension on the bicep. We're not letting the weight touch, we're keeping tension there. Nice smooth transition up, forcing that bicep, big squeeze up at the top, and then slowly back down. 12, 15 repetitions. You don't really need to push much higher than that, but do make sure that you have enough resistance that you're starting to struggle on those 10th, 11th, 12th reps. 1 on each side, and then we can move on to the next exercise. And for that, I've set up a rope on a seated cable row machine. You can do this on the floor as well. And this exercise looks something like this. So with this one, you might be thinking, well, what's the difference between performing it with cables or a dumbbell? Well, tension on the muscle and also placement of the elbows. You'll notice with this one, the lying cable curl, my elbows are at the side of the body. So instead of keeping it more isolated, which is what I was doing with that first exercise, my biceps have a little bit longer length to fully stretch out and focuses more on the long head. So if I do a bicep pose there, you can kind of see a split there. That's the short head, this kind of fat muscle here. And then the long head of the bicep is more positioned around here, just because of the attachment and the insertion. So we're kind of focusing more on the peak as well as this one. Full length in that cable, and as we curl up, I'm bringing the wrist slightly outwards so I have a different tension pulling on the biceps. Also on this one, you don't want the elbows to pull forwards. With that first exercise, we had the elbow fixed up against the knee, making it very hard to create momentum as we lift. With this one, it's a little bit too easy to pull the elbows up as we're finishing off that exercise. So you want to make sure the elbows remain fixed at the side of the body, and all we're doing is flexing and extending at the elbow. Cables, I like to go a little bit higher, 12, 15, even 20 repetitions. You get a great pump in the bicep, a lot of blood pooling in the muscle. So these 2 exercises, whether performed back to back as a drop set or a superset, or 3 or 4 sets on one exercise, and then 3, maybe 4 sets at most on the next exercise, with no more than 60 seconds rest in between. We're not lifting a whole lot of weight, so we want to keep that intensity and that pump in the biceps pretty high. So these 2 exercises can be performed really within about 6 or 8 minutes total for both. Now let's move on and have a look at triceps, which I'll also include often in my bicep workouts. First of our tricep exercises, a single overhead extension. This is a great exercise for shape. So, when we look at the bicep pose like this, a large portion of that is actually made up of the tricep, this muscle here. So focusing on this particular muscle within a number of exercises will help give you more of an illusion of that bicep shape. Regardless whether you're on stage, you want to do photo shoots, or you just want to look good working out in the gym and start to see some improvements on some of the areas that you really want to work on. So triceps, just as, if not more important than that bicep when exercising to really get that whole look going. So with this exercise, how I hold the dumbbell, extend up, so without, you want to keep the upper arm practically upright next to the side of the head. So arm sort of in line with the ear. This isn't moving back and forth. All I'm then doing is lengthening that tricep by lowering the weight down, getting a really good stretch on that tricep here. You can see I go quite deep, a full stretch. If flexibility is an issue for you, just lower down enough until you feel a stretch on the side of the arm there, and then extend back up. Now, if the weight becomes too heavy for you, you can also support the arm there as you're lifting. And this is a similar exercise to those skull crushers when you're laying down flat or performing overhead extensions, except that by performing single arm each time, you can focus a lot more on the quality of the movement rather than just trying to force that weight to finish those repetitions. So 12, 10, even 15 repetitions gives you a great pump in that tricep. Focus on full extension, and as you raise that dumbbell back up, lengthening the arm, really squeeze and pump that tricep by contracting it hard. All right, let's move on and have a look at the second of our tricep exercises. The straight arm press down or push down, whatever name you want to call it. A lot of people tend to focus on other exercises for mass and size in the triceps, but let's not forget this is a cornerstone exercise that you really should be including in your arm workout. You'll see here that I'm using a straight bar as opposed to a rope, and the simple fact is I feel I get much more tension in the triceps rather than pulling in some of that anterior, the front deltoid, if I'm using a rope. So once again, triceps positioned at the side of the body. If you want to step back a little to position the arms forwards, that's fine. A little bit more tension on the triceps there from a variety of angles. Full extension down, contract the triceps hard, and then back up without allowing the elbows to pull forwards. It's this movement, really squeezing. You can see the difference there. If I'm just moving my arms down to complete the reps as opposed to focusing and engaging, contracting that muscle. That's the real difference between making some great progress and just kind of doing the same exercises week in, week out without any real progress. So focus on contracting that muscle and really forcing it at the end of each rep. 12 or 15 repetitions here. And these 4 exercises with our biceps and triceps, I actually like to do back to back. So my 2 biceps, 2 triceps, then back to biceps, back to triceps, and so on for a total of 3, maybe 4 supersets. You can see both the short head, the long head, focusing on, if I do the horseshoe effect there, this area of the tricep here, which is the one you see there. So don't just focus on one exercise for each of them. Make sure that we're hitting the biceps and triceps with a variety of different angles. If you perform this one week, the next week, try doing it with cables, barbells, or dumbbells. Same as this one, we can switch it up. Underhand, use different attachments, V attachments, so that you're constantly working the muscle from a variety of different angles and the body doesn't become too comfortable with those movements. Speaking of which, let's have a look at our final circuit, forearms, because the forearm is basically half the arm. We focus too much on biceps especially. One of my goals for this year is to really get the forearm muscle up. So these next 3 exercises are going to help strengthen both the wrist muscles and start to get a little bit more size and definition around the forearm, which makes it a lot easier when performing big exercises such as back, dumbbell rows, barbell rows, deadlifts, and pull downs. So forearm and grip strength are two components needed if you're looking for a complete and balanced physique. Let's have a look at our forearm circuit over here. I always get a really good pump in my forearms when training them with biceps and triceps, simply because I'm using them in a lot of the exercises, and that's where a lot of the blood has pulled into those muscles. The only other time I'll train them is with a big exercise or muscle group such as back, sometimes chest or shoulders, and I'm usually hitting them twice a week to really give them the attention that they need. These three exercises here, starting off with the reverse grip easy bar curl. You might think that's more of a bicep exercise, and it does work the biceps, but that overhand grip, reversing the exercise as opposed to underhand grip, brings in more of this area of the forearm. So you can see this gets worked a lot with the biceps, but not as much when we do it this way. By reversing our grip, both with a straight bar, easy bar, using the bar on cables or even dumbbells, pulls in a lot more of this muscle here, which is really what helps make part of the arm complex, certainly in that pose. Similar technique here, keeping the elbows fixed, full range of motion, and you'll notice with that easy bar, which just gives me a better position holding as opposed to both arms horizontal like this, is that I'm flicking my wrist up very slightly at the top of the movement. So not only am I involving this muscle a lot, I'm really kind of giving it a little bit more focus and attention up at the top by lifting my wrists up. And you'll see this exercise replicated in the third one, which we'll look at right now. I can do this with an easy bar, straight bar. It's just more comfortable performing with a dumbbell. So our forearm resting on the edge of the thigh like this, and you'll see that it's a full extension and curl under. Not much weight, only 10 pounds here. I'm aiming for about 15 reps, even 20 for forearms. Like with calves and abdominals, these are more endurance-based muscles. We use them a lot day in, day out, so we need a little bit more intensity to really affect them rather than trying to lift heavy weights for fewer repetitions. The second exercise, straight bar. Opening the hands out like this, getting a nice long stretch on the forearms, and then that reverse movement where we're curling all the way up. You can see the muscle contracting there. So don't go too heavy to the point where you can't fully contract that muscle. Open it out, stretch, practically letting the bar roll down to the fingertips, and then close that hand back up and fully curl, contract, and get that pump going in the forearms. So this circuit here I can usually replicate in about 8 minutes. So both with biceps, triceps, and the forearm, you can easily get this workout done in about 30 minutes, or you can start to pull exercises out and combine them with larger muscle groups such as the back and forearms, or just biceps and triceps on their own. But don't forget about the forearms. So I said at the beginning of this video, I'll give you a glimpse of my new website. This will be under robrichards.com, launching in about 2 weeks from now. This is kind of the homepage of it. A lot of blogs, a lot of articles, a lot of videos on there as well. It's all free, so you'll be able to go on, browse all of my workouts, meal recipes, nutrition, and really get an idea for making your next move when it comes to planning out your training. Speaking of which, I mentioned Squarespace at the beginning. This is a great platform to be able to build your own website, whether you want to showcase photos, videos like I'm doing, share some information, or if you're a personal trainer and you want a place where other people can come and really find out about who you are, your services, and have a place for all your social media content. I've had a website for a decade now, since I started doing all this fitness. One of the things that makes it so easy about building your own website with the likes of Squarespace, which you can click on the link below, squarespace.com/RobRichards, get 10% off as well. Really easy, you don't need any design experience. You can use a ton of different templates on there to find the right style for you. It's got 24/7 customer care, so you can jump on a live chat, call them or email to find out how to do things that you want. And the templates make it really easy to move around stuff like blog spaces, make stuff large, move different templates and segments around, add video, embed it right into your website, newsletter sign up. So, even if you have no experience, jump on there, squarespace.com/RobRiches, build your own website and just link all of your social media. Once you've done that, give me a shout as well. Include it on your hashtag, @me, @RobRichesFitness. Show me what you're doing, and you know, I'll give you guys some shout outs and share some of the some really great posts that I'm seeing. On that note, that wraps up the end of a bicep, tricep, and forearm workout. Subscribe. We're gonna have new videos coming throughout the year, focusing on both muscle groups, exercises, and just kind of training philosophies in general. And finally, shout out to the guy behind the camera, Josh Morgan, aka Momentum Productions, who has been bringing all of this great content, filming me around the gym, and then editing and putting all the graphics on. So, you know, like the video and then head over to his page and check out some of the really cool videos that he's doing. All right, guys, I'm off. I'll see you guys back next week. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned for more. I'll see you soon.